his disciples to console them, to reaffirm them in the faith. However, one of them is not present, Thomas, and then everybody else tells him what happened, and he says, unless God follows my conditions, I will not believe in him. I mean, something that any of us can do. Thomas had suffered the loss of Jesus, and probably it took a while for him to recover from it. So he finds it difficult to believe his resurrection. So he says, unless I put my finger on his wounds and see him, I will not believe in him. So 8 days later, Jesus comes back again, and he doesn't put attention to anything else other than to come to the person who has committed a serious sin, the sin of unbelief. So, there is nothing, there is no greater evil in this world, nothing more horrible that can happen to anyone than not being able to believe in God. So, and I mean, I could tell you of the many instances from the Old Testament how God punished Israel for not believing in him. I mean, it took 100 years for Noah to build up the ark to save himself and his family. And for those 100 years, all the people kept, making fun of him. But only his family was saved from the great flood. The rest were drowned in this great mass of water. Then Jesus, in a little conversation that he has with the scribes and Pharisees, he says to them, "Why is it that you do not understand my language? I know the answer," he says. "You do not understand what I'm saying because your father is the devil." See? And in today's epistle, we have St. John saying, "Beloved, whoever is born of God overcomes the world. And this is the victory which overcomes the world, our faith." See? Then, the Gospel of St. Matthew, Jesus says, "Woe to you, Chorazin, and woe to you, Bethsaida. For if the mighty works done in you had been done in Tyre and Sidon, they would have repented long ago in sackcloth and ashes. But I tell you, it shall be more tolerable on that day of judgment for Tyre and Sidon than for you." Then he says, "Capernaum, and you, Capernaum, do you think you are going to be exalted to heaven? No, you shall be brought down to hell. Why is he Jesus? Why is he saying that? Because these cities didn't believe in him. So Jesus says, my sheep hear my voice. I know them, and they know me, and they follow me. But then he says to the Jews, you do not listen to me because you are not my sheep. Your father is the devil. So with this, we understand how serious a sin it is not to believe in God. The most serious of all. That's the first thing. Second thing, this sin of incredulity cannot be cured. No matter what we do, cannot be cured. There is no remedy for it. See? And third and last thing, and the worst of all, that those who do not believe, according to our Lord, have already been judged. I mean, can you imagine? We who believe in God have to wait to die and be judged. But those who do not believe have already been judged by God. The only thing that is they are waiting is for them to die. But they have already been judged by God. I mean, how many co-workers, friends, relatives, family members, neighbors do you have that have already been judged by God for not believing in Him? That is extremely, extremely serious. And I think that the worst thing that can happen to a human being is to have a parent that does not believe in God. See? So those who do not believe in God are enemies of God and enemies of men. See? So that is why Jesus appears to them to console them, and He says, peace be to you. Then He shows them His hands and His wounds. See? And He knew how serious the sin was that of Thomas. That's why He says, bring your hand and put it into my side. See? I mean, we knew from the prophet Isaiah that Christ's heart was going to be wounded so that ours may be healed. See? So, looking at His body with His wounds should be proof enough for us to believe in Him. And the second thing that we should keep in consideration all the time is that this world is constantly doing its best to eradicate the Catholic faith from the world. Before the 18th century, the world didn't have a problem with incredulity or lack of faith. It was until after the French Revolution and the Second Vatican Council that we began seeing this situation of people losing their faith, not believing in God. So, There is so much that we could do to oppose this evil of the world today. And what we can do is simply, as the disciples did, increase our faith. They told him, we believe, but we want you to increase our faith. That's the first thing. The second thing is to practice the faith. Constantly. Constantly. Because the only way for you to overcome the world, as Jesus did, is simply to believe in him. This is the victory that overcomes the world, our faith.